Ted Rodriguez. I'm President and CEO of the Coastal Alabama Business Chamber, and we want to thank all of you on behalf of our Chairman, Susan Sizemore, our Board of Directors, and our ambassadors. Thank you for being here at what we believe to be the largest Friday breakfast we've ever held in the history of our chamber. Thank you. We've got a beautiful spring day in the most beautiful place in the world, and is there any chamber from Tuscaloosa to Tallahassee that's as lucky as we are to be able to hold our breakfast in a place like Lulu's? We are so blessed to have our breakfast in such a cool environment. Nobody has a cooler place to have their breakfast than we do. I'd like to turn it over to our 2014 Chairman of the Board, Susan Sizemore.
Great start.
Tessie.
I like to start off with a bang. What a great day we have here. Today is the first full day of spring. I can't say it's exactly chamber weather. If I had ordered it, I would have made it a little bit warmer, but give it a couple hours, it's going to be. But we're glad to have you all here. I'd like to first welcome and recognize the local officials that we have here, so if you'll stand or wave or let us acknowledge that you're here. Representative Steve McMillan. Thank you. Mayor of Gulf Shores, Robert Kraft. Council member, Steve Jones. Council member from Orange Beach, Al Bradley. Jeff Boyd, Jared Johnson. And with the Baldwin County School Board, Angie Spiker. And as I look around the room, I know somebody's important here because I've never seen this many. Oh, Sheriff. I am following the tradition of our former chairman, Kevin, by forgetting to introduce you, Hall Smith. Thank you very much. Yeah, Kevin set a precedent for me, so I'm sorry. But as I was saying, I've never seen this many suits in town. So I know somebody important's here. Normally we've got on shorts and flip-flops, so thank you for being here. We came here today for a large part to hear our governor, and so I'm going to introduce him now. Governor Bentley is committed to creating jobs in Alabama. In 2010, he was elected 53rd governor and promised the Alabamians that he would get jobs. He promised that he would not take a salary, as we've already heard, until the state reached full employment. That's 5.2% unemployment. And so far, sorry, no paycheck, but we're really getting close. You're doing a great job. Upon taking office, Governor Bentley made the creation of new jobs a top priority in his administration by instructing his cabinet and state agencies to join him in an effort to lower the unemployment rate and grow the state's economy. The Executive Order Number 2 was signed by Governor Bentley on his first day in office, instructing all state agencies, departments, and commissions to include job creation as a priority in their service to the state. Governor Bentley has surpassed his goal, creating more than 10,000 new jobs for Alabamians the first year in office. What a record. As a result of his efforts and his leadership, more than 17,200 new jobs were announced by the end of 2011. In 2012, companies in Alabama announced 20,847 new jobs, bringing a total to more than 38,000 jobs in the first 2 years of administration. That deserves a hand. Alabama saw its unemployment rate drop significantly in its first 2 years in office. The unemployment rate dropped from 9.3% in January of 2011 to 6.9% in January of 2013. And by the end of 2013, it's dropped even lower to 6.5%. That paycheck's getting closer. Prior to being governor, Dr. Bentley served 2 years in the Alabama House of Representatives. He represented District 63, Tuscaloosa. Well done. And I had to say that. He was born and raised in Shelby County and graduated from the University of Alabama Medical School. He was commissioned a captain in the United States Air Force, and upon his completion of his military service, he started residency in dermatology at UAD. Dr. Bentley moved to Tuscaloosa in 1974 and established his own dermatology practice, and under his leadership, the Alabama Dermatology Associates became one of the largest dermatology practices in the Southeast. Governor Bentley and his wife Diane had 4 sons, and bless his heart, 7 granddaughters. We are so proud to have you here with us today. And please help me give him a Coastal Alabama round of applause. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to be in my second home, which is Baldwin County. And in fact, I'm going to run the entire state for the next 10 days from Baldwin County. This is spring break for our legislators, and Steve, I know you're glad to be out of Montgomery also. And I'm glad you're out of Montgomery. Steve does a fantastic job. He really does. I see some more of my cabinet members back there. Julie McGee. Julie does a fantastic job as Department of Revenue, and we have. Look, my cabinet members make me look good, and I appreciate everything they do. I think the sign of leadership is choosing good people, and if you don't choose good people, you're not going to do well. And so you cannot do everything on your own. So finding good people that help you makes a difference as far as any organizational structure. I'd like to, first, I want to make this somewhat informal. I know this is an informal place. I didn't even wear a tie today. Isn't that kind of nice? Y'all didn't either. This is the first time y'all even put a coat on in probably 6 or 8 weeks. I don't know, it's been pretty cold, hasn't it? What I'd like to do is talk just a little bit about the state, how we're going, how things are doing right now. And then I'd like to just open it up for questions. You can ask me anything you want to ask. I may not tell you, but I'll tell you what I know, okay? When we did come into office in 2011, we were broke. Y'all know that, totally broke. State was broke. Every rainy day fund had been borrowed out. All the stimulus money was gone. All the incentive money that I had to recruit industry was gone. We had zero. And people said, why on earth was going to be governor? And so everybody said, we got to raise money. We've got to increase taxes in the state. I said, no, we're not going to increase taxes. We're going to streamline government. We're going to make it more efficient. We're going to make it work the way it should work, and we're going to save money. And let me tell you, that's what we've done. We changed retirement systems for the new hires. We did away with certain programs. We allowed people to retire and not replace them. We had a hiring freeze for 4 years, but it stayed at 37,500. So obviously the hiring freeze hadn't worked. But now we've been able to reduce the size of government, but things have still worked fine. And we have, let me tell you, we have great state employees in Alabama. Don't let anybody tell you that we don't have good state employees. We do. And they do a fantastic job. They do such a fantastic job. The other day they unanimously endorsed me for the next term. But that's unusual. That's unusual that they would endorse a Republican governor, because most of them are not Republicans. But they do a fantastic job. So I want to brag on them. But we did come in very difficult times, and we decided that we were going to make some changes, and we were going to do some things. Some of my cabinet cabinet members like Julie McGee has done so many things for business to make it easier to do business and pay. Nobody wants to pay taxes, but it makes it easier to pay taxes, and so many things like that that have really helped. But we have saved over the last 3 years now. We've been keeping up with this. We've saved over $1 billion annually for the state of Alabama. That's out of an $8 billion budget. We have saved over $1 billion. And I'm very proud of that because we've done it really by making government more efficient, but we're not through. We've got a long way to go. I'm going to give you a good example. IT. I know all of you have IT departments. You know, they all start out with one computer. That's the way they did in government. Every department had one computer, and then they got 2 and 3, and then they all had an IT department. And none of them talk to each other. They don't even use the same system. But we're going to use the same system. And we're going to make everybody use the same system. And they're doing it. Some of them fighting and screaming, but I said, you work for me, you work, and I'm telling you, you're going to do it. And they are doing it. And I have now a new Secretary of Technology, and he told me the other day, he said over the next 5 years we're going to save $650 million just in IT. And that's by using the same system, people talking to each other, having common purchasing, all of those type things. I mean, just common sense things. I mean, for instance, we refinanced all of our bonds in the state from 5% down to 2.5%, saving hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, why on earth would you do something like that? Let me tell you though, folks, government will never change unless somebody changes. If you don't change government, it won't change because people are comfortable. They get up, they go to work, they get up, they go to work, and they're not bad people. They just need some direction, and they need to be told, we're going to do it differently. And we're going to do it like businesses have to do it every day because this is taxpayer dollars, folks. The money we get in Montgomery doesn't belong to us. It belongs to you because you get up every day and go to work, and we ask you to send money down there, well, up there, to help us fund government. And I will say this, if the federal government, which is going broke, by the way, obviously y'all know that, if they want to see how to run the federal government, they need to look at Alabama. I can tell you. One of the other things that, and before we ask questions, one of the other things that I've been proud of is our road and bridge program that we have started in the state. It's called the A-Trip program. You have gotten a lot of money out of the A-Trip program. What it is being able to bring forward federal dollars right now and use them when we need them to repair roads and bridges in the state. Infrastructure is very important. We're putting $1 billion into roads and bridges. It will be the largest road and bridge project program since Jim Folsom's Farm to Market Road program. And some of you who are as old as I am, well, I don't really remember it, but I've heard about it. You know, so, but it's a major program, and we're going to have 1,122 projects. But these are projects that are not of my doing, they're of your doing and your county commissioners doing because y'all present to us what you want done. You match it with 20%, which you ought to do, and you match it with 20%, and this is money that we give to you. It's basically, it's 80% free money for you. And we've had 1,122 projects across the state. Every county in the state of Alabama got money, every county, and I made sure of that. But it was not political. I set up a committee. I did not, in one single project, veto or recommend. I kept it totally apolitical, and it was based on your recommendations from your counties. So I think that this program is going to really benefit the state of Alabama. We've done 181 projects already, so we've got a lot more to do over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. But overall, things are doing better. Our unemployment rate is dropping. Our unemployment rate now is 6.1%, the lowest in the Southeast. We have announced between 50 and 60,000 new, these are future jobs, folks. These are not jobs that have most of these have not come yet. These are future jobs that are coming to the state. Airbus was one of our signature recruitments. Very proud of Airbus. Airbus, I talked to them when the tanker project fell through, and I said, guys, y'all need to look at something other than being dependent on the Department of Defense. I said, that's your first mistake. I said, you need to think about a commercial airline. You need to think about producing commercial airlines here in the United States. So it took 16 months, us working with them, me keeping open the incentives from the state, and of course the locals also put in quite a bit. So we kept all that open for 16 months, and as they worked through their political wranglings over in Europe, they finally decided it would be best to come to the United States because they can sell more planes here if they're located here. That's 1,000 jobs, with supplier jobs being about 4,000 to 5,000. And by the way, we want those jobs to stay in Alabama. I don't want them to go to Mississippi, and I don't want them to go to Florida because I'm not their governor. And you know, and I want to say this: Airbus was important. It was very important, especially for this area down here. For 2 years, and we still are, as we go to the air show every year, Alabama is the star. I'm telling you, we're the star of the show. And everybody looks at Alabama because Airbus came to Alabama. The other signature recruitment was just recently, and I'm sure many of you heard about this, was Remington up in Huntsville. An arms company coming to Alabama. Alabamians love guns, we love to hunt, we love the outdoors, and we love the Constitution, and all of us love the Second Amendment. So the people at Remington knew that. And so we worked for 6 months to try to recruit Remington to Alabama. And 24 states tried to get Remington, 24. But Remington decided to come to the best state in America, and that's Alabama. Now, why do people come to Alabama? Why can we recruit industries into this state? Have you ever thought of that? Why do people, and we're ranked in the top 5 of all states in the country for companies to come to. Why would they do that? Well, we have an environment in Alabama that is pro-business. It truly is pro-business. Number one, we're a right-to-work state. Now, there are 25 right-to-work states, but that's very important. Now, I'm not anti-union. I really am not. There are a lot of great union guys. I'm not being anti-union. What I'm saying is there are some industries that if they do unionize, it hurts me in economic recruitment. If Mercedes, for instance, unionizes, it hurts me. Because no Asian company out there will even consider a state that is not a right-to-work state. They just won't consider it. So when I'm recruiting in South Korea and recruiting Hyundai, when I'm recruiting, we're talking about Kia and some of the other companies from South Korea. When we go to Japan and recruit the companies out of Japan, they want to come to a right-to-work state. So that's number one. Number two is we do have a low cost of doing business in Alabama. We have a low cost of energy. And by the way, I want it to always stay low. That's why I am so supportive of our natural resources that we have in Alabama. That's why I'm supportive of coal and natural gas. And I'm supportive of nuclear and hydroelectric. Those are the 4 ways we produce energy in Alabama. So it's very important that we keep the federal government from over-regulating those industries. Now, all of us want clean air and clean water. I do. I want that. But we have low cost of doing business. We have low taxes, and I know some people think that our taxes ought to be higher. I personally would like to see us continue to streamline government before we talk about raising taxes. Because, let me say this, I've said this many times, government programs never shrink. They never shrink. They are the closest thing to eternal life on this earth. Okay? So, unless you shrink government, unless you make it shrink like we're doing, it's not going to shrink. But let me tell you the number one reason they come. All of those are important. The number one reason is we have a work ethic in this state that is second to none. People in Alabama work hard. And you know what? They take pride in what they do. Now, see, I'm the governor, I believe, of the people that are the greatest in the world. I love, when I cross this state and I meet with people, like with y'all today, I didn't get up there to shake all y'all's hand, and I didn't quite get over there to shake all y'all's hand. I think I shook most of y'all's hand. Y'all are great people. And I'm telling you, I'm honored every day, and I tell my wife, Diane, I said, you know, it's the greatest honor in the world just to get up and to go and help people try to solve problems. And listen to them. I get out across the state one day a week while the session is in session, one day a week. I spend the entire day in a county. And all I do is just go listen. I always listen to the chamber because you're the ones who are most involved in businesses. A lot of you in small businesses. And by the way, we're creating a small business advisory committee that's going to help y'all. We're going to put all this stuff together to help small businesses that is available in the state. You just don't know where it is. But we're going to put it together. We're going to organize that. So I get out one day a week and I listen to people. And that's important. Montgomery is a bubble just like Washington is a bubble. And unless you get out with the people, you don't know what the issues are. See, the issues down here, they're different than they are in Scottsboro. They're different than they are in Hamilton. So you have different questions and different issues. And by the way, I'm going to quit talking in a minute and let y'all ask me some questions. But the people are the greatest. And they work hard. And the other thing that we're going to make sure of is they're going to be well trained. And the skilled work programs that we're putting into place right now, working with business and industry and working with education, we're going to have a skilled workforce training program that already is second to none, but it's going to get better. And a lot of that has to do with our AIDT, our ATN, with our two-year college systems. But now we're putting money into the K through 12 systems. You know, we got away from that for a while, but we're putting money back into that. And even our four-year college systems have bought into it. And so we now have passed, thanks to the help of Steve and those in the legislature, we now have set up an Alabama Workforce Council that's going to advise education on what the needs are. So our people are the most important. And I can tell you, when you recruit companies, now there's a lot of tourism industry down here, but one of the things, and somebody may ask me about this, we need to continue to work more on having, especially in areas away from the coast, we need to have more manufacturing down in this area. We do need to diversify here. You know, areas need to diversify. So we need to diversify even in this area. So we need more manufacturing. And so we'll talk about this. I'm sure somebody will ask me some questions about that. But our people are the most important. And they do a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of it. That's what helps me sell Alabama. I am the salesman. When I go to all these countries all over the world, when I go to places in other parts of the country and try to recruit companies from New York to Alabama like we did with Remington, you know, they have to like you. They see me first, but they have to like you. So you have to sell your area. So never underestimate what your importance is in recruiting industry. It is you. If they don't like you, they're not coming. And if you don't welcome them, they're not coming. But look, Alabamians always welcome people. We always do. This Southern hospitality is real, folks. It's real. And I can tell you, it's easy for me to help recruit industry in Alabama because of you, and because of the workers, and because of the things that we have in place. And I say, it is an honor, it's a privilege to get to do what I do every day. And you know, I love it so much, I do it for nothing. So, and I do. Hey, by the way, what is the unemployment rate in this county right now? I hadn't looked in the last few days. Anybody know? What? It's 6.1 in the whole state. Oh, I thought it'd be, if I was going to say if it's 5.2, I'd just move to my house down on Fort Lauderdale. Huh? 5.2? Hey, I want y'all to know something now. I have been helping the economy down here. I sold part of my office up in Tuscaloosa. I still owned a little of it for 5 years and got some rent off of it because I didn't have a salary, so I had to have some money to live on. Because I don't make anything, and I have to buy most of my food. And when I moved in the mansion, I had to buy $20,000 worth of furniture because we didn't have any furniture. Did y'all know that? That's kind of sad, isn't it? But I did. But anyway, how did I get off on that? So I sold part of my office up there, and I built a house across the road from me down at Fort Morgan. And so I've been putting a little more money in the economy down here too. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not going to rent it. I guess I'll just let friends stay in it. I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, let's stop and let's have some questions here.
Mr. Governor, we have several questions for you. The first one is going to be from Glenn Butler. But while he's doing that, if Radney Tucker, Johnny Carton, Taylor Norton, and Greg Leatherberry could come up here, and your questions will be next.
Glenn, is yours the first?
Glenn, you're the first.
Hey, let me tell you first, Glenn. You gave that prayer a while ago, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me tell you. That prayer touches me because let me say this. I work so hard. I really do. I work 12, sometimes 14 hours every day. And I don't take the time sometimes as governor and being so busy to think about the beautiful natural resources that we have in this state. And we do. We have the most beautiful state, from the mountains in the north down to the coast. And that prayer touched me, and I want you to know that when you was voicing that. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
You have received strong criticism from notables across the state for your position on Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. But you are a physician who I would think would understand the healthcare system very well. Would you care to make any comments about your position?
Well, everyone knows my position on the Affordable Care Act. Obviously, a 2,700-page bill that nobody read, and it was voted on, and this bill had been written many, many years ago. This is not a new bill. It was written many, many years ago, really working towards a single-payer system in this country. 2,700 pages, and now with 18,000 pages of regulations, and they are only about a third of the way through. This bill is if there's such a word, is unimplementable. That is true. It cannot be implemented. And it is causing so much uncertainty in this country right now, with small businesses and large businesses, that it is impeding economic development in the United States. And in fact, I can tell you, had we not had the Affordable Care Act, and it's really not affordable, by the way, if we had not had the Affordable Care Act passed, our economy would have turned around 3 years ago, or maybe earlier than that. I mean, that uncertainty is what causes people not to hire. So that's one of our problems. Now, that's not the only problem with this piece of legislation. It cannot be enforced, and it's now Congress. They've already lost their chance unless we have a new Congress. They've lost their chance. But I tell you, as a governor, I haven't lost my chance. And there are two things that were put into place by Justice Roberts' bill. I mean his ruling. Justice Roberts' ruling. Two things that were important. Number one was it had to do with interstate commerce. It's so that he was saying that I think it's Section 8 of the Interstate Commerce Clause, He said that you cannot use that in this legislation. The other thing he said was you cannot force states to expand Medicaid. All right? If you can't force states to expand Medicaid, I'm not. And we are going to, on the state level, continue to stand against this what's called Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. And I'm going to do everything I can to keep it being implemented. So are 30 other Republican governors across the country. 25 states have not expanded Medicaid. I read all this stuff, and if you get any of you get David Bronner's advisor, he's always talking about all these Republican governors. Well, they're not. 25 states have not expanded Medicaid. If they don't expand Medicaid, then that puts a barrier right there. And the only reason that they have put it off for the last everything for a year, the only reason they put it off, they're trying to get past this next election, but they've done it because the states have stood strong, because governors have stood strong, because state legislatures have stood strong. And we're going to continue to do that. Now, why do we do that? I can think of nothing worse than putting 300,000, maybe 500,000 Alabamians, 30% of whom already are on a private insurance. I can think of nothing worse than putting them on an entitlement program that you never can get them off of. I can't think of anything worse than that. Look, folks, we have some poor people in Alabama, and we need to help the poor. And let me tell you, when I practiced medicine, I would see anybody that walked in my office. If they had money or didn't have money, I would treat anybody free that needed to be treated. No one ever was trying. I didn't care if they had insurance or didn't have insurance. I just took care of them because I loved them. And I have a feeling for the poor, but how do you lift people out of poverty? How do you do that? You don't do that by expanding giveaway programs from the government. Listen, the war on poverty was lost the day it started 50 years ago. And that's not, the way you lift people out of poverty is you educate them. You help them get a good education and you provide them with a job. And when you do that, you lift them out of poverty. Now, let me give you a good example. The first company that I recruited when I came into office was Golden Dragon Copper Tubing. And Golden Dragon Copper Tubing will open in 2 months in the poorest county in America. You know where that is? Wilcox County. The poorest county in America, and we have recruited Golden Dragon Copper Tubing, which will have at least 300 jobs, but up to 500 jobs that are well-paying jobs in the poorest county in America. That's how you lift people out of poverty. And that is my philosophy. My philosophy is not to expand welfare programs. My philosophy is to help people become self-sufficient.
My name is Johnny Carden. And,
I'm sorry, with Johnny or?
Johnny.
Johnny, okay, Johnny.
I got put up to this. I have said
Nah,
y'all going to ask me this question.
That's all right.
But as a small businessman, I think the Alabama use tax is a burden to the small business. I feel like it targets the small business. We pay tax on the item when you purchased it, and then we got to pay tax on it for using it. And that's an annual tax. What is your opinion on that?
A use tax is a tax that you pay that's not collected by sales tax. Isn't that right, Julie?
Yes, sir. There's so many people that are not aware of this tax. That's my question. But for instance, if I buy a DeWalt tool or a power tool, and I put that tool to work,
Get closer to your mic.
I have to pay taxes. I have to pay taxes.
Yeah, he's going to yell at you, Jim.
That's something I'm knowing to the day you came back like 6 years ago, whatever it was, it's the Alabama state use tax. And then I can give you that description.
He's asking about a use tax, but in my mind, now I may be wrong, Julie, you tell me if I'm wrong. A use tax is a sales tax that you have to pay, but it has not been collected.
Yes, sir, it's been on the books since 1937. It's not a new tax.
Yeah. Okay, John.
All right, thank you.
It's not using the product. That's not what a use tax is. Am I right, Julie? A use tax is a tax that you have to pay. For instance, let me tell you, if you buy something online, that's a use tax that you're supposed to be paying. And by the way, I hope all of y'all pay your 4% to the state if you order something on Amazon. Raise your hand now. Julie is back there. Raise your hand. If you have not reported now all of your online sales, now you have to pay 4% to the state, okay? There's a place on the income tax. All right.
Thanks for joining us, Governor. Is there any hope of a more equitable insurance premium rate schedule for us folks down here?
I'm telling you. You know, that has been one of the most difficult things that we have had to deal with. And of course, I know it. I mean, I pay it just like y'all do. But you know what? I mean, even though I don't get a salary, I have been able to invest, and I'm in a little bit better shape. Some people can't afford it. I mean, there are people that work here at this restaurant that may not make as much as I make. There are people that work on boats and, out here. They don't. It is a real problem. And now, not only are we having problems with the cost of insurance, we're having problems, regular homeowners insurance and wind insurance, we're having problems now with flood. Now that affects everybody all over the state of Alabama and all over the country. It's not just this area. But I can tell you, if you have an area in a flood zone, if you have a house in a flood zone, if it continues to go up, then it's going to be hard to sell. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the real estate industry, in not only in this part of the state, but all over Alabama and all over the country, anywhere you're in a flood zone. Insurance is a very different. Insurance companies have to make a profit. You can't stay in business unless you make a profit. But what we would like to see, and I've always thought that you don't punish people. For instance, we haven't had a hurricane down here since I've been having significant. Oh, I know, everybody knocking on wood over here. Don't say the H word down here. Hey, listen, let me tell you. I have become the governor of economic disaster. I have become the governor of natural disasters. We've had tornadoes and we've had ice storms and we've had kind of semi-hurricane threats, but I hope we won't have any major hurricanes while I'm in the office. I hope we don't have any for a long time. It is a difficult problem. We set up an insurance commission to look at this. And I don't know that, we did some things. We set up at University of Alabama an independent entity to work on insurance problems across the state. And it's just getting started right now. We are also looking at possible compacts with other states. We're looking at those type things. And we are continuing to encourage other companies to come in and write insurance. Now, I will have to say this, and I won't name the company here in town. I have USAA insurance on my house on the beach down at Fort Morgan. And my house is valued at $250,000. And I pay $4,500. That's what I pay. That's what I pay. Now, in Tuscaloosa, my house is valued at about between $500,000 and $600,000. And on that same house with the same insurance company, I pay $1,500. Okay? So I can really compare with the same company. But the other day, this new house that I built right across the road from the one I built down here, with a company here in town, I paid $2,300. Now that's not bad. But it still is a real problem, and we've got to continue to monitor this and continue to try to encourage other companies to come in. And if we do that, then the competition will help drive the price down. And also, if we are blessed and don't have any hurricanes in the near future, then they begin to look at it and we can get things lower some. But listen, I sympathize with people here because, like I say, I have property here, and it is a real problem. Do I have the answer? No, I don't. If I did, we'd have solved this thing a long time ago. But I want you to know that we continually work on it.
Governor, the next question will be from Greg Leatherbury, but I'd like to ask Robert Dillard, David Clark, and Ilona Boris.
Is this question by committee? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Governor, first of all, one comment. Julie was absolutely right, and you were right when you hit it on the end. If you pay sales tax, you don't pay the use tax. If you don't pay sales tax and you bring the product in Alabama and you use it, you go to the use tax. Second comment is that I think it is perfectly appropriate if the president can go to Hawaii and run the country. I think it's very appropriate for you to come down here and run the state.
Well, and that's it.
The third thing I want to say is when you got elected, and I'm glad to say that I did everything I could to get you elected, and I hope everybody in this room will all help you get reelected. And I think your first administration, you have done a wonderful job. You came in to attack jobs, and you were extremely successful, and I applaud you for that. If we all work hard and we get you reelected, and you are sitting here in your 8th year of serving the citizens of Alabama, I'd like to know in your second administration, what are your goals? What are your priorities? What would you like to see as you retire from your second term, the state in Alabama?
Well, the economy will still continue to be number one, and jobs will always be at the top of my list. I think the other thing that I would like to see, I really do want to see us improve our education system in the state of Alabama. Let me say this, though. Let me. There is nothing more, and I want to say this, there is nothing more important to a child's education than one person. Now, I'm leaving out the parents, okay? And that is that classroom teacher. Nothing is more important. All the programs we put in, all the things we do, all the money we spend on, nothing is important to that child's education than that teacher that is with that student every day. Nothing's more important. So that's why I'm going to support our classroom teachers, all right? Now, let me say this. I believe that we need to support certain things in education. I am a strong proponent of, it's voluntary, but our pre-K program in Alabama is probably the most important thing that we do for a child. Now, let me tell you why. The Reading Initiative is important. AMSTI is important. All these other programs are important. But if you don't have a firm foundation and a strong foundation, and that starts really before they start to school. If you don't start with that, and let the child have a firm foundation, they never are able to learn as they go along. Every dollar we spend in pre-K, now by the way, the pre-K program in Alabama is #1 in the nation, and it is not in the Department of Education. All right? It is in the governor's office. It is under the governor's office. But we are #1 in the nation. And I can tell you it has made a difference. Statistically, we know it's made a difference. There are fewer children that have to be retained. We have less special ed with those children. They all, right now, every child that has gone through our pre-K program in the state, every child has met the proficiency level at the 3rd grade level. Every one of them. Not a single one has failed. Now, we also know that every dollar you spend in volunteer pre-K, and the kind that we have in Alabama, it saves $7 down the road. Probably the most important thing, though, in the poor counties and the people who don't have any money, it closes that achievement gap by 29%. So it is significant. We know it works because statistically, and I made them do this. I said, I am not putting any more money into a program unless you prove to me that it works. It works. And I'm for it. Now, educating our children is important. So this next term, I'm going to continue to not only focus on jobs, but focus on education. I want to focus on infrastructure. Our road system in Alabama continues to be very important to me. Down here it's important. We've got to make sure that we have egress and ingress into this area down here. When we build this new convention center over here, when we get that built, and by the way, we are going to get it built. Now I know that there have been 6 governors trying to do it, but let me tell you, we're going to do it. We don't have the money in hand yet, but we have it set aside, and we're going to get it done. And in my 2nd term, before I leave, I want to be able to come down here and at least tour it. Because let me tell you, I'm tired of going to over to Sandestin. In fact, I just quit doing that to talk to Alabama people who go over there for their conventions. So we need a place here that we can house them. But now we also need roads in and out to take care of that. And so we've got to work on that. And that is a major part of that. And the other thing, who asked me that question? Greg? There are some problems that we have in this state, and we have to realize that. We do have a lot of poverty in Alabama, and we do need to help areas. We need to help people like people in Wilcox County get the jobs that I'm trying to get them right now. I mean, I got 20% of the vote in Wilcox County. So I'm not doing this politically, but I'm doing it because these are Alabamians and I love them, whether they voted for me or not. I don't care if people are black or white, Democrat or Republican. I love the people of this state. And once I become governor, I'm everybody's governor. So that to me is important. And there is another issue. And I know this is not very sexy, and I know people they think, why on earth would you even bring this up? But let me tell you, we've got a real problem with our prison system in Alabama. And we're going to solve that. And even though these are some bad people, and they need to be punished, but I'm telling you, even if they need to be punished, we're going to treat them like human beings. And we're going to treat them humanely. And, I have visited the women's prison over at Tutwiler, and we're not going to allow stuff to go on over there. And we're not allowed. I mean, when things, we hear about them, we make sure that those things are taken care of. And we're going to lower the census. And folks, and I hate to tell you this, but if we're going to house people for everything in the world, and we're going to put everybody in the world for every drug offense and all that, if we're going to do that, we're going to have to build some more prisons. And we don't have any choice. And but we're going to tackle that problem. Now, I know most governors in the past have just kind of pushed it aside, but I'm not going to push that aside because that is a problem. I tackle problems. That is a problem. And we're going to do that. So I know that that doesn't go over very well, and that doesn't sound very good when you're running for office, but it's a problem that has to be addressed, and we're going to address that one also. All right, folks, listen. We got time for what else?
Your staff says we have time for 2 more questions.
2 more, and I'll make the answers short. Okay. Robert, you got a good name. You know that?
Recent GAO report, federal parks were in $14.7 billion
Hold it up a little closer.
The recent GAO reports the federal parks generate $14.7 billion economic activity around the parks. What I'd like to know is when you think the VP settlement funds allocated for center and hotel would be spent out here to get that project going, because it would be great a few minutes ago to have all these conventions come here instead of all the bar conventions doing this.
Right.
Documents wrong. Also, is there an impact, economic impact estimate on what generate, how much money that would generate for the economy?
The question is how soon we're going to get the money to help build the park here. We will get that money quicker than any of the other monies that have been talked about, like the Restore Act, this type of thing. That money is going to come quicker because it comes through the NERDA process, which is the coastal restoration money. Now, they are kind of holding it up a little bit, but we'll be able to get that sooner. We have $85.5 million coming. 58 of that will go on the convention center itself. We're going to probably have more money than that, but that'll be a lot of it. And then 25 will go on the restoration of the park itself, so that people can have campers, and we're going to revitalize it also and make it much nicer. Now, how soon are we going to get the other money? I have no clue. And the reason I don't is because BP has gone into a defensive posture. They've gone into an Exxon Valdez posture. And the problem was when the federal government settled the claims for the fines and the penalties, the criminal fines and penalties. When the federal government settled that, we lost our hammer. The hammer, you always have to negotiate out of strength. You don't negotiate out of weakness. And when we lost that, they backed off, and I don't know when we're going to get any money out of the Restore Act. I'll be honest with you. I hope we get some if I'm reelected before the second term is out. But I'm not very optimistic about that right now. I'm really not. Now, we have a trial coming up in March of next year. I mean, they delay these. Why on earth does it take lawyers 4 or 5 years? I guess you make more. Are there any lawyers in the room? All right, Greg, tell me why it takes lawyers so long to do anything. All right, now, did I finish answering your question? All right, okay. All right, yes, sir.
Good morning, Governor.
Good morning.
David Clark. Can anyone hear me okay? Great. I'm Vice Chairman of Economic Development for the Coastal Alabama Business Chamber. Question I have to you, you touched on it, but what are your specific plans or thoughts to give Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Foley additional roadways, bridges for north-south access Interstate 10 and Interstate 65? We have expansive opportunities with business development, tourism, and traffic. The growth of our county is really dependent on this access. Thank you.
Well, and that's a great question. And I have, as y'all know, appointed one particular person in this area to listen to all complaints related to traffic, especially in bad times of the year. And I haven't seen him here today. His name is Tony Kennan. Tony's not here, is he? But I have appointed Tony as the one that you need to complain to when we have too many cars coming down here on holidays, okay? Tell Tony I did that, okay? Listen, folks, it is the more people we have down here and the more people who come down here, we have to have adequate roadways. We do. And so the things that we need to look at is continue to expand the Foley Express. We're expanding it already up to I-10, but my goal is if we have some money through the BP process and the Restore Act, I would like to expand it all the way up to I-65. Now, when we say that, it cannot be a highway that does not deliver traffic quickly. In other words, you can't have 14,000 red lights along it. And so you're not going to be able to develop it like you would a road out here. So it has to be somewhat of a controlled access highway if it's going to work right. If you don't do that, you're going to make it like 280 up in Birmingham. So it's going to have to be very much a controlled access highway. So I think that's important. The other thing is we need another bridge somewhere down here. And actually we're working on that. We're working on it. I know that Orange Beach probably makes a little money off of the toll road, or toll bridge.
Very little.
Very little. Well, how much do they make, Alan?
We owe $6.5 million.
$6.5
We
million.
owe $6.5 million.
Y'all owe $6.5 million.
Yeah, we're like your salary.
Do what?
We're like your salary. We're still
Trying to catch up. Well, we've got to have more than one bridge across there. And so we are working on that, whether it's the Barber Bridge or whether it's another bridge. We definitely need another bridge. We need some east-west roads also. And we are looking at that right now to come out where I am. I guess right down here. By the high school and across the park. I guess go over to 161. Yeah, so we're working on that. And I think honestly, if we have a convention center down the beach, we're going to have to do something about making sure that road on the beach will handle the traffic well. So infrastructure is vital if you're going to continue to grow like we're doing down here and bring people in and out quickly. We've got to do that, and so I understand that, and we're going to work on that. All right, do we have any more? That's it. Okay, listen, come on up. Hey, let me tell y'all, thank y'all for letting me come down and being a part of y'all's meeting today, and all you who belong to the chamber, thank you. The chambers all over the state do such a fantastic job helping me to develop businesses, because most of you are small businesses, and you know that creates most of the jobs in this state. It's not the Airbuses and it's not the Remingtons, it's the small businesses. And so I have these organizational goals. I've already organized all the major manufacturing industry economic development programs. But now I'm working on small businesses to try to bring together all the assets that we have out there to help small businesses not only develop and grow, but to be sustained. So we're working on that now. So y'all are a part of that, and I want to thank you, and thank you for letting me be with you today.
We really want to thank you for being here. This year we have changed our name to the Coastal Alabama Business Chamber. We are a business chamber. We want you to know that we are a business chamber, and we appreciate all that you do for us. And we appreciate you giving us the most important thing that you've got is your time today. Thank you so very much for being here. Let's give them a hand.